Beck felt a fist smack into his kidney, nearly sending him to his knees, but he managed to get into position, head down, hands against the wall, unmoving. It took about an hour to sort everything out. 9 men were sent to keep-lock cells, including Beck, where they were locked down for 2 days while the prison staff investigated what happened. Nobody claimed they had been in the fight. Everybody professed ignorance, or said something vague about a guy who fell or maybe got pushed by another guy. The COs had little doubt about what had happened. Beck's supplies had been found on the steps. Clearly, the new fish had been attacked, but they couldn't prove that Beck had fought back. Normally, the guard staff might have decided Beck was a victim and let him off, but word had already come to Clinton that James Beck was a cop killer. So even though Beck stuck to his claims that he had no idea what happened and had committed no violations, because he'd lost his supplies, they'd found him guilty of violating Rule 106.10. An inmate shall not lose, destroy, steal, misuse, damage, or waste any type of state property. Worse, they claimed it involved an assault and inflated the violation to a Tier 3 offense. Beck received a sentence of 60 days solitary in the prison's Special Housing Unit, SHU. They shackled his hands and ankles to a chain around his waist and shoved him into an isolation cell about the size of a parking space. There was an open shower in one corner, a toilet with no lid, a built-in bunk, desk, a shelf, and a door that opened to a cage outside tall enough for Beck to stand in, but only slightly bigger than what might be found in a dog kennel. A nauseating stench, produced by human waste and unwashed bodies, permeated the airless cell. With a Tier 3 violation, Beck was allowed 2 showers a week instead of the usual 3, 2 books or magazines instead of the usual 5, no television, no headphones for a radio, no personal possessions other than a small bar of soap and a roll of toilet paper. He received a change of clothes every 10 days, 1 thin blanket that had never been laundered, 1 polyester sheet for his inch-thick foam mattress, no pillow, and no shampoo or comb. It took 5 days for him to receive a toothbrush, toothpaste, shaving cream, and disposable razor that had to be returned after 1 use. On his shelf, he found a beat-up Bible and a February 1994 copy of National Geographic. All meals were served through a slot in the heavy metal door. Out of spite, the guards in the SHU made sure that for the first week, Beck's meals consisted of water, a wedge of raw cabbage, and the infamous brick, a hardened loaf made out of carrots, potatoes, and bread dough. No human could possibly digest 3 daily servings of the brick. Beck managed to eat 1 brick per day by soaking pieces of it in water. He became so horribly constipated he had to stop eating on the 5th day. By the time they began serving him the usual prison food, he'd lost 6 pounds. He continued to lose weight during the rest of his time in SHU, eating food often delivered cold, sometimes with coffee grounds tossed on it, and 3 times consisting of nothing but an empty styrofoam container. From the moment he stepped into the small cell, Beck was determined to survive the box. He immediately set out to clean his cell, which reeked of dried feces, urine, and general grime. Luckily, he had nearly a full roll of toilet paper. He folded a length of it into a tight block and used it to clean his sink, the rim of his toilet, and the floor around it before the wad of tissue fell apart. He washed his hands, trying to conserve the half-used bar of soap, and spent the next hour doing calisthenics. Next, he tried meditating, first sitting, then walking methodically. After all that, less than 3 hours had passed on his first day. Within 4 days, his notion of time slipped his grasp. Minutes could feel like hours, days interminable. His concentration began fading in and out. His diet drained his energy, which made it harder to exercise. He tried to find solace in reading, but found it increasingly difficult to absorb the archaic language in the battered Bible. By the 3rd week, he had read the National Geographic so many times